Charles Barkley lost $25 million in casinos, more than half his NBA fortune, handing over stacks of $25,000 a hand, spending entire nights chasing a rush that left him hollow. He wasn't some washed-up star desperate for relevancy. This was a legend at his peak, confessing to winning $1 million just 7 times, but losing it 25. How does a superstar with every advantage spiral into a cycle where the real game isn't on the court but at the blackjack table, and losing hurts more than any defeat on the hardwood? Here's the story behind the NFL player who gambled away $25 million, and what Barkley revealed about the true cost of obsession. Picture Charles Barkley, NBA royalty, sliding into a Las Vegas casino at midnight. He's not here for the slots or the buffet. He's got a table reserved, blackjack, his game of choice, and tonight, the stakes are set to stun. He sits down, barely glances at the chips. The dealer asks for his wager. Barkley tosses out $25,000 on a single hand. No hesitation, no warm-up, just a stack of cash most people won't see in a year, riding on whether the next card is a 6 or a king. This isn't a one-off. For Barkley, this is just Tuesday. He plays at a level where the pit bosses start sweating, not the players. A typical session stretches 6, sometimes 8 hours. The chips flow in, then out, then back in again. $100,000 gone before the second round of drinks, $200,000 in play before the sun comes up. He'll win a hand, lose 2, double down, split, lose again. The numbers blur. Sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down, but the rhythm never changes. Chase the rush, chase the win, chase the feeling. He's honest about it too. Ask him, he'll tell you. He's won $1 million in a night, more than once. But he's lost $1 million way more often, 25 times, by his own count. The math doesn't care if you're a Hall of Famer. The house always takes its cut, and Barkley keeps coming back for another round. His friends watch, sometimes in awe, sometimes in horror. One night, a pro golfer sits beside him, watching Barkley bet $10,000 per hand. So much anxiety, he almost cries. But Barkley? He shrugs it off. The money's real, but the thrill is what he's after. He'll sit at that table until the casino closes or his stack is gone. No clock, no sense of time, just the cards, the chips, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, this is the night he gets it all back. Every session's a marathon. 6 hours, 8 hours, sometimes more. No breaks, no slowing down. The adrenaline spikes with every big hand, then crashes just as fast. The pit bosses know him by name. The cocktail waitresses know his drink. The casino managers know to keep the chips coming, because Barkley's not here to play it safe. He's here for the action, and he's bringing a fortune to the table every single time. Long before the $1 million hands and the Vegas headlines, Barkley's relationship with gambling was already in the cards, literally. His childhood home in Leeds, Alabama, doubled as an underground casino. Friday night, the living room filled with smoke and laughter, men crowding around makeshift tables, cards flicking, bills changing hands. His mother and stepfather ran weekend games to make ends meet. For young Charles, gambling wasn't some forbidden vice. It was a family business. The house pulsed with action until Sunday, every week. Losing a hand meant nothing when the rent was due. That early exposure stuck. Years later, the thrill of the casino floor felt almost familiar. But the numbers had changed. Instead of nickels and dimes, it was $25,000 a hand, $200,000 gone before the sun came up. Barkley's fortune gave him the freedom to play big, but it also gave him room to lose, again and again. $25 million by his own count disappeared across decades. That's not just numbers on a page. It's years of adrenaline spikes, the rush of a win, the ache of a loss that lingers long after the chips are gone. The aftermath of those marathon sessions wasn't just about money. Barkley described sinking into a fog after the losses, days when he didn't want to leave the house, when the shame pressed down heavier than any stack of chips. He'd win big, ride the high, and then the crash would hit. Sometimes he'd be up $500,000, but the urge to chase that round number, 1 million exactly, kept him glued to the table until the last chip was gone. The depression that followed wasn't about the cash. It was about losing control, about knowing he'd ignored every warning, every friend's advice, every gut feeling that told him to walk away. He said it himself. The wins felt good, but the losses hurt in a way that money can't fix. The cycle was brutal. Elation, then emptiness. Friends watched him spiral, powerless to pull him back. He'd shrug off their concern, joke about the losses, but inside, he was carrying a weight he couldn't shake. At his lowest, Barkley admitted feeling ashamed, embarrassed that someone with so much could let it slip through his fingers, hand after hand, night after night. Even now, with the worst behind him, Barkley talks about gambling's toll as a lesson learned the hard way. He's open about the cost, not just in dollars, but in dignity and peace of mind. The numbers might grab the headlines, but it's the quiet aftermath, the regret, the self-doubt, the memories of a childhood surrounded by cards and risk that lingers longest. For Barkley, the real price of gambling was never measured in chips or stacks of cash. It was the feeling deep down that no matter how much he won, he was always one hand away from losing himself. May 2008. The Wynn Las Vegas Casino files a lawsuit against Charles Barkley, demanding repayment for $400,000 in unpaid gambling markers. 4 IOUs, each for $100,000, handed over in the span of 2 nights, back in October 2007. For years, Barkley had played the high roller, but now the casino wants its money, and they're not asking politely. Clark County's district attorney jumps in, threatening felony theft charges if the debt isn't settled, 1 to 10 years in state prison, per marker. Not exactly the VIP treatment Barkley's used to. Barkley doesn't duck the heat. He tells local radio, "My mistake. I screwed up. I'm not broke, and I'm going to take care of it." No excuses, no lawyers spinning tales, just a cashier's check for $400,000, overnighted to the Wynn. Problem solved? Not quite. The DA adds a $40,000 processing fee, 10% on top. Barkley pays that too, surprised but not about to argue with the law. The whole thing plays out in public. Headlines run with the story. Sports talk radio lights up. Barkley, the man who once shrugged off million-dollar losses as the cost of fun, is now facing the real cost of letting things slide. Felony charges, courtrooms, the risk of a criminal record, none of that gets comped, even for NBA royalty. For the first time, the consequences are bigger than the chips on the table. The lesson stings. No matter how famous you are, the casino always collects, one way or another. Barkley's wake-up call didn't come from a casino manager or even a headline. It came from his own crew. Picture him, 2 years into a self-imposed gambling break, still itching for the action. He's sitting around with his friends, talking about missing Vegas. One of them, tired of watching Barkley burn through fortunes, cuts through the noise. "Gambling's not your problem, man. You're just an idiot." That's the quote. No sugarcoating, no soft landing. The room goes quiet. For once, Barkley doesn't have a comeback. He listens. They lay it out. Every trip, he's up a couple $100,000, then stays until it's all gone chasing that imaginary million. Why not just take the win? Why not set a number and stick to it? The message lands. Barkley starts thinking less about beating the house, more about beating his own worst habits. So he sets new rules. No more marathon sessions with no end in sight. No more chasing the magic number. Now win or lose a couple $100,000, that's it. He walks. If he's up, great. If he's down, it stings. But it doesn't wreck his week. He treats gambling like entertainment, not a payday or a test of willpower. The 2-year break gives him perspective, but it's the honesty from friends that rewires his approach. He still hits the tables, but now there's a cap. No more trying to break the casino or himself. He calls it harm reduction. His friends call it finally using his head. Either way, Barkley's not playing to chase the past anymore. He's playing by his own new rules, and, for once, he's sticking to them. Charles Barkley has stated, on record, that he lost around $25 million gambling, an amount nearly 2/3 of his NBA career earnings. He admitted to placing $25,000 bets for hours at a time, and the 2008 Wynn Las Vegas lawsuit over $400,000 in unpaid markers brought his private struggle into public view. Despite his financial means, Barkley described the emotional cost as severe, using terms like depressed and ashamed in interviews. While he claims to gamble responsibly today, only Barkley knows the true depth of his ongoing relationship with risk. Details about his most recent gambling habits remain private. What is clear from public statements and legal records is that addiction can challenge anyone, regardless of wealth or fame. Barkley's story, documented in interviews and court filings, stands as a cautionary tale. Even the biggest fortunes can disappear, and the personal toll can linger long after the last hand is played.